Hello there, welcome back to Mastering the Young Band. For this episode, for your beginners, I want to talk about a note reading strategy that I use. And then for our second and third year players, I want to talk about a strategy for your percussion, especially when you're first starting your sheet music. First is the beginners. I created these sheets that I just call speed note, and there's different levels. This first one is just the first 5 notes. And what I've done is I've kind of put these in concert pitch and slash I've also made these to work with my classes. In my class, I have my beginners, like I have trumpets and horns in one class, and then I have low brass in another one. And so it's not pure homogeneous groupings, but it's close. So what I do with these sheets is this is one way that I work with students to get really fluent at being able to say their note names. So we start with saying a lot of the alphabet forward and backwards with Master of the Alphabet. On the board, I draw a staff and just practice saying their alphabet backwards. I'll draw a note and then we'll practice saying the note backwards and forwards just to get them used to that line space concept. Then once they start getting pretty fluent at that, then I go, okay, now here's your actual first 5 notes. And on the board, I'll usually draw their first 5 notes, and with my marker, I'll point to it and they'll go G, F, and I'll point to different notes, E, C, and then eventually, I'll skip around, we'll go faster and kind of make that a game. So after those steps, then that's when I give them this speed note sheet. Now, what we do with this, so this is the first 5 notes on this sheet for clarinet, trumpet, and horn, and I don't let the students write in the note names except for the first occurrence of each note. So the first time they see their C, D, E, F, or G, we will write in their note name with a capital letter. But then that's it. The rest of it, they can't write in. And then what I do is I set my metronome to 72. And the first time we do this, we do it 1 note every 4 beats in whole notes like this. C, E, C, G, and so on. And I don't necessarily, on my sheets, I have 50 notes, but I usually only do the first couple of lines when I introduce it, and then I might do the first 3 lines. And that's mainly what I do unless I'm doing a game, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But that's the first step, is we just say the note names every 4 beats. It gives the students a lot of think time to look at the note and see what's coming ahead. Once they start getting pretty good at 1 note every 4 beats, then we go to half notes. So we'll go C, E, C, G, C, and so on. Once they start getting really good at half notes, then we go to quarter notes. C, E, C, G, C, E, stop. And that one I usually have them do 1 line and say stop, and then go to the second line. So watch that. So we'll go C, E, C, G, C, E, stop. G, C, D, F, D, F, stop. And that one takes a while, and your kids that are struggling, you'll see them faking it. They'll be like, they kind of copy their classmates. You can see it really clearly, okay? Those are students you usually have to work with one-on-one and help them to get a little bit faster with it. Then, once they get pretty good at that 1 note per beat, and by the way, what I explain to the kids is that's just what happens when you're reading your music. When you're playing Merrily We Roll Along, E, D, C, D, E, they're changing notes every beat. So that's why that's so important to be able to say them that quickly. We do a game called Mess Up Dropout where all the students stand and we'll count through the whole sheet in whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, whatever. And when a student messes up, they grab a seat. And the kids think it's a ton of fun. They really love doing Mess Up Dropout with this speed note. I also, especially with brass, it's a little bit harder to do with woodwinds, but with brass, we'll even do this with positions. So we'll go first, fourth, first. And as you saw, I teach all of my brass, trumpets, horns, trombones, tubas, to go ahead and do the brass positions. So if like for trumpet, for instance, first position, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So we say positions together. So for instance, in my low brass class, my tubas and trombones, they're saying their positions on this sheet rather than tubas going 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3. They just say the position, and I teach my kids, we do drills early on to get them adept and really fluent with their positions. So I use this sheet not only for the note reading of their first 5 notes, but also with their positions. Sometimes with clarinets, I'll do this. They will say the bottom finger of what they actually push down on their clarinet. So for instance, they would do this: 3, 1, 3, 1. Or I'm sorry, this one actually for G, we say hover everything. So they hover their fingers. So let me try that again. 3, 1, 3, hover, 3, 1, hover, 3, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, and so on. You could do something similar with the flutes, but that whole E flat, it just doesn't work as well with flutes, double reeds that way. So this speed note, it's a really great way of getting your kids fluid with their note names and positions. The second thing for you is for second and third year players. What I like to do, I'm a percussionist, that's my primary instrument. And if you train your percussion well, they really can learn most of their sheet music in a month. So most of us do kind of an 8-week cycle before a concert. You have about 8, maybe 10 weeks to get a concert ready. So what I usually do for the first month, the first 4 weeks, I give all of my percussion the mallet parts for a piece of sheet music. So they all have the mallet part and they learn it together. Now, if it's not a very good mallet part and there's not a lot in it, I might give the entire percussion section the oboe part, and then they learn the oboe part with the band. The benefits of that are obviously they get good with their mallet reading and playing. They learn the melodic content of the sheet music rather than just learning their bass drum part or crash cymbal part. It's challenging them and forcing them to hear all those melodies and play what the rest of the band is playing. And then what I do is after a month, I actually give them their actual percussion assignments, and then they work on that. And what's cool is they know the songs, they learned it with the band, and they usually can pick up their percussion parts really quickly because they know the melodic and harmonic content of the songs really well. I've been doing this for years and years, having the students start on their mallet or oboe parts. And it's just a great way of keeping your percussionists fluent on their mallets, keeping them challenged on their mallets, and still learning their music with still plenty of time to learn all of their other parts. Now, if you have an especially challenging piece for percussion, that the percussion writing is pretty intense, is pretty challenging, you may not want to do this, but for most pieces, this is a great strategy to use for your percussionists. So try it sometime, and if you're not comfortable doing it for your entire concert program, try it for one piece in a program and just see how you like it. So I hope you find that valuable. Use that speed note sheet or something equivalent to it. It's a great way of getting your beginners fluent on their note reading.